Viksit Bharat. He also said that this is the 75th year of the Constitution and it is a moment of pride for us. Taking a dig at the Congress, he reiterated how the Constitution was strangled during emergency. While ending his short speech, his message was huge. PM said, "I have made my statement well within my rights given by the Constitution. I have not made any encroachments. Sometimes a nudge is just enough." Meanwhile, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath earlier in the day targeted the Congress for brazenly flouting the Constitution, its norms, and also claiming that the original preamble didn't even mention the words secular and socialist, and it was the Congress who surreptitiously brought in these two words right in the middle of emergency.
अनेक उतार चढ़ाव का सामना करते हुए भारत के संविधान ने अपने इन 75 वर्षों की यात्रा को किस शानदार तरीके से किया है कि जिन लोगों ने भारत के संविधान का गला घोटने का काम किया था, जनता ने उनको भी सबक सिखाने में कोई कोताही नहीं बरती। याद करना, उस संविधान में दो शब्द नहीं थे, सेकुलर शब्द भी नहीं था और समाजवादी शब्द भी नहीं था। कांग्रेस ने चोरी छिपे जब ये देश के नागरिक अधिकार निरस्त किए गए थे, इमरजेंसी थी, तब इन दो शब्दों को भारत के संविधान में डाल करके भारत के संविधान की आत्मा के गले को घोंटने का काम कांग्रेस ने किया था। कांग्रेस ने किया था।
बाबा साहब आम्बेडकर ने कहा था, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इज नॉट अ mere लॉयर्स डॉक्यूमेंट, इट्स अ स्पिरिट, इज ऑलवेज द स्पिरिट ऑफ एज। इसलिए उन्होंने हमारे संविधान को महज कानून की एक किताब बनाकर नहीं छोड़ा, बल्कि इसको एक जीवंत, निरंतर प्रवाहमान धारा बनाया। आज हर देशवासी का एक ही ध्येय है, विकसित भारत का निर्माण। विकसित भारत का मतलब है जहां देश के हर नागरिक को एक क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ मिल सके, डिग्निटी ऑफ लाइफ मिल सके। ये सामाजिक न्याय, सोशल जस्टिस का भी बहुत बड़ा माध्यम है।
Well, we have Vishnu Jain, lawyer, Ishkaran Bhandari, lawyer and advocate, and also Pradeep Bhandari, national spokesperson of the BJP, joining us. Tehseen Poonawalla and Tausif Khan should be also joining us in a bit. This larger question is, Samvidhan khatre mein hai ya safe hai? And who's actually batting for the rights and upholding the spirit of the Constitution, which is, as many of us believe, a living document, and the Prime Minister also touched upon that. Vishnu Jain, Ishkaran Bhandari, namaste. Pradeep Bhandari, namaste. Jai Hind. We're waiting for the other two guests also to join us, Tehseen Poonawalla and Tausif Khan. But Vishnu, my first question is to you. On Samvidhan Diwas earlier in the day, you put out a very interesting post. Yogi Adityanath also reminded the people of this country that the original preamble didn't have the words socialist and secular. And those two words actually affect the thinking process and the very DNA of Bharat. Vishnu.
See, we have challenged this word socialist and secular before the Honorable Supreme Court of India, which was brought by the 42nd Amendment during the era of emergency. There was no discussion in the parliament because all the parliamentarians were in jail. There was no discussion between the people. And the point was that 3 times the framers of the Constitution, Professor K.T. Shah, had moved this proposal and it was rejected by the Constitution Assembly. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar has also said that these are two schools of thought and people cannot be forced to be socialist or secular. And in the recent judgment of the Supreme Court, 9 judges, out of 9 judges, 7 judges have said and quoted the same thing, that you cannot force the people to follow a particular fate of thought. Now the point is that we were not heard in the Supreme Court. When we raise this point, the basic thing is that if you are challenging any constitutional validity, the Supreme Court issues notice to the central government and to the concerned parties and then takes a response, and then this matter required an elaborate hearing by a constitution bench. Suppose, for example, if the WAF Act is passed, or for example, say Article 370 was challenged, a detailed hearing was given. So point number one is that we were not given a detailed hearing. By a summary hearing, this petition was dismissed, and there were so many constitutional issues which were involved, which were not heard at all. The second point is that why in the original constitution the photograph of Tipu Sultan and Akbar is there? How can you keep Tipu Sultan and Akbar on the same pedestal with the Lord Ram? How and what is the conspiracy which happened when Nandlal Bose had painted the pictures? Who forced Nandlal Bose to put these two pictures, who were the murderers of the civilization, to be inserted in the constitution? They had no, they should not have been given any place in the original constitution. We definitely keep on saying that Lord Ram is there in the original constitution, Mahavir is there in the original constitution, but how can Tipu Sultan find place in the original constitution? What was that mentality? How can Akbar find place in the original constitution? What is this kind of mentality? So I am not celebrating Samvidhan Divas, and I will not celebrate Samvidhan Divas till the time this dichotomy in the constitution which have been brought in during the era of emergency is eradicated. And the second dichotomy is, what about Article 29 and 30? Which is in complete violation of Article 14, which is the biggest dichotomy in the constitution. Under Article 30, minority institutions are established, and they can have the liberty to read their Quran and various hadiths, and then become lawyers, doctors, and their degrees are being affiliated. But this kind of facility is not there with any other section of the society. And there is a minority ministry which has been developed. Special funds are given, which was totally against the intentions of the framers of the constitution. Please read what Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel had said during the Constitution Assembly. Article 350, which was the draft constitution, he had said that if you are such a well-lit minority and because of your strength, you can divide a country, we are not going to give you any status of a minority. And how can it happen that the second largest majority in this country will get the status of minority? Why there is no justice in Gyanvapi? Why there is no justice in Mathura Shri Krishna Janmabhoomi? Why our Dara Singh, who is lingering in jail, who is languishing in jail from past 24 years, 6 months or 8 months, why he has not been granted bail till for one day against all the principles of the CRPC? So these are the dichotomies in the constitution. And I'm therefore saying that I will not celebrate Samvidhan Divas till we get real independence, till we are heard in the Supreme Court.
So now the constitution is supposed to be a living document, a living person or a living document that evolves with time, which has to then progress, and with the times of the day, it also has to amend itself, it also has to grow. It's like a living person or a human being. That's the thought process or the philosophy of those who wrote up this constitution, and that's why they said it's not just a book, it's a living document. The spirit is thus. But Ishkaran Bhandari, what Vishnu Jain is talking about is fallacies or issues with the constitution, or is it because of the way the constitution is interpreted by those who are supposed to interpret the constitution and pass judgments? So is that more of virtue signaling by our courts, or is it actually fundamental issues with the very DNA of the constitution which was altered allegedly and as many believe surreptitiously when the country was in emergency?
Anand, the problem did not start with emergency. The problem started much previous to that. Let us deal with firstly how the constitution came under danger, because that's an important topic. I will just give very fast 5 examples, all before 1980, when Congress had one-sided rule over the nation and most of the states. The first, immediately after independence, you presume you will be allowed to speak freely because you are not under a colonial master. They bring the First Amendment, take away your right of free speech. Incidentally, US by First Amendment gave people the right of free speech. The second thing immediately which happens is they insert 35A. Now, which procedure of amendment brought 35A in? They completely bypassed the procedure of amending a constitution on their whims and fancies by an executive action. They did it. Who suffered? All the women, tribals, Dalit, SC, all marginalized communities, Hindus, everybody suffered because of 35A and executive action. That brought constitution into danger. The third example you can find is when the first non-Congress government is elected. That is how democracy functions. We become a multi-party or a bipolar polity. And immediately the first chief minister of Kerala, incidentally a communist, is dismissed by using the powers of the constitution, by throttling democracy, by throttling multiple party elections at its infancy. That was the third example. The fourth example, the classic example of supersession of judges. Today they are attacking the honorable former Chief Justice of India, Justice Chandrachud, in various platforms or by various members of the ecosystem. But the minute constitution was strengthened by the basic structure doctrine in Keshavananda Bharati, the Congress government superseded 3 judges. The next time they superseded judges was after emergency, when Justice Khanna was superseded. So that was the fourth incident. The fifth is, of course, the crowning glory of emergency, where I want to tell you what was argued when they suspended Article 21. Justice Khanna, who was superseded later, asked this question in court. You are saying 21 is suspended, so you are saying no right to life, and shamefully I am about to say, the counsel argued back that I am sorry, that may be the position, but right to life is suspended. Justice Khanna asked, if a policeman, because of personal enmity, shoots somebody, there would be no recourse. Answer was, sorry, but consistent with my position, there would be no recourse as long as emergency lasts. So they were talking about killing people by a personal enmity because somebody has in a position of authority and no recourse. So these are 5 examples of how constitution was murdered, all before 1980. We can give more examples. So it does not start with emergency, it predates. The risk is, Anand, that is the important point. I feel BJP has fallen into a trap by saying that we will not change the constitution, amend the constitution, because skillfully they linked the constitution with reservation. Reservation is a part of the constitution. Reservation is needed in this country. Don't touch it. But there are various other parts of the constitution which need to be amended. 100 amendments have happened, and those parts need to be amended because the modern polity requires that. And the reason they don't want constitution to be amended is this. I will finish by saying this is because when they were in power, they have brutally amended the constitution to suit and serve their purposes, but they want to hinder the future governments from amending the constitution to do justice to the citizens of this country.
Right. Pradeep Bhandari, react. Because the BJP's biggest sigh of relief this time around with the Maharashtra elections and Haryana is that this entire Samvidhan Badal Denge that was stuck on them with respect to reservation has been quelled. But the charge at the BJP is that the rightful amendments to the constitution that will actually steer Bharat towards a Viksit Bharat in 2047, the BJP is actually dithering from it.
Well, Anand, let me tell you that both the gentlemen who spoke before me, their more reservations were with respect to the way the Supreme Court has interpreted the constitution, and both are eminent lawyers, and the best place where they should raise these reservations is at the doors of the Honorable Supreme Court. Let me assure the viewers that anything and everything which is in interest of the constitution in order to ensure that we become Viksit by 2047 will happen. Now, your larger point and principle is that when is the constitution strengthened and when is the constitution in danger? I here say that the constitution is always is absolutely strengthened whenever the Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Bharatiya Janata Party is there, and I will reiterate 10 instances where we ensure that the principles of the constitution is strengthened, and reiterate 5 instances where the where the Gandhi family is ensured that the constitution is in danger. Well, we've ensured that the constitution is strengthened when Baba Sahib Ambedkar's constitution is implemented in letter and spirit, including in Jammu and Kashmir. We've ensured that the constitution is strengthened when the OBC Commission has been given a constitutional status, which was a demand for 40 years. We've ensured that the constitution is absolutely strengthened when first women tribal president is selected and elected by us. We will ensure that the president is the constitution is strengthened when for the first time the Jammu Kashmir Chief Minister takes oath on this red book, the Constitution of India. We will ensure that the constitution is strengthened when for the first time the backward classes, the Dalits, have got the reservation rights in Jammu and Kashmir. We've strengthened the Constitution of India when for the first time Bhagwan Birsa Munda's anniversary, who is a tribal messiah and a hero, is celebrated by us. We've ensured that the constitution is strengthened when for the first time the OBC Prime Minister becomes the Prime Minister of this country and ensure that adequate representation is given to all. And we've ensured that constitution is strengthened when Baba Sahib Bhimrao Ambedkar's legacy is implemented in letter and spirit. And the Congress party, this is the resignation letter of Baba Sahib Bhimrao Ambedkar, and I quote Baba Sahib Bhimrao Ambedkar and his stand on the Congress party, in particular Nehru's government. He said that why has Mr. Nehru not done anything for the SCs, STs and the Adivasis and the Christians? Why does he only care of the Muslim vote? This is Mr. Ambedkar's charge. The Congress party for 40 years did not give Baba Sahib Bhimrao Ambedkar a Bharat Ratna. It took a Bharatiya Janata Party led government government to do that. The Congress party ensured that Baba Saheb Bhimrao Ambedkar was defeated in his first election. The Congress party for 40 years could not even get his Pratima and a portrait in the central hall of the parliament. The Congress party in Karnataka snatched the rights of the Dalits. So the Congress party is an emergency party which throttled, demolished this constitution when emergency was implemented. Let me assure all the people in the panel, till the time the Bharatiya Janata Party led government is there, every act and principle of the constitution will be implemented in letter and spirit, and we will not let Congress party endanger. Even today, Anand, what happened in the morning? The Congress party disrespected the tribal president. Mr. Rahul Gandhi could not even greet her. Remember what Udit Raj spoke about Droupadi Murmu. Udit Raj called Droupadi Murmu as a, and in fact, the Congress party called Droupadi Murmu belonging to an evil philosophy. Remember how they insulted Ramnath Kovind, the second Dalit president, by calling him deaf and dumb. So the Congress party abuses the SCs and STs, and this constitution equally belongs to SCs and STs. For the Congress party, this constitution only belongs to their vote bank. This is the difference between us and them.
Tehseen Poonawalla.
Anand, at the onset, wish everybody a very happy Constitution Day. I'm so glad my friend Vishnu Jain is here. While I ferociously disagree with him, I'm glad he's safe, he's healthy, his father's safe, and Vishnu, wish you all the best. I keep wishing for your safety. There are two arguments. I don't want to get into rhetoric. My friend from the BJP got into. He spoke nothing about the constitution except making political points and political jibes. Look, there are two arguments. Vishnu Bhai made about the word secular. I think that has been settled a number of times by the Honorable Supreme Court. It was settled recently. It was settled today by the Chief Justice of India. The powers of the Parliament extend to the preamble. They can put in the word. The Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, has a full majority government twice. He again has a majority NDA government. If he believes it's not there, please try and amend, please try and remove the word. I will go to Supreme Court, and I promise you I will win in Supreme Court, because that word will not go. In fact, even the Honorable Prime Minister in many speeches has stood by the word secular. There's been false attributes to Baba Saheb Ambedkar why secularism was not added into the preamble. Baba Saheb Ambedkar is on record saying this in the Constituent Assembly debates, that the whole constitution itself is secular in nature, and it's further been explained that at that point of time, secularism meant opposition to religion. India has got out its own meaning of secularism, hence it is needed to be put in. So now we can argue, disagree with it, that's fine. The government has the powers under Article 368 to remove it, and I will challenge it in court. We will see what happens. Let's come to the larger issue. Yes, Anand, I completely agree with you. The constitution is a living document. There have been many wrongs that have happened. Many times this living document has been sort of amended to serve political interests. The BJP has also tried and done it. For example, a case that I lost, the EWS reservation. I believe firmly it is anti-constitution, and I'm being proved correct today. And there are various reasons. We won't go into that debate because then I'll have to give my answers. But the fact of the matter is that at the end of the day, the constitution is something we all must strive to protect. This living document is what gives us the authority. And I'll end by saying one thing. The first three words of our constitution is we the people. The constitution rests all power in Vishnu, Ishkaran, you, me, and Pradeep out here and Tosif out here. It doesn't give powers to any god, president, prime minister, chief justice, or opposition leader. We the people are the power. Let's celebrate it. Once again, happy Constitution Day.
Tosif, has there been too much of virtue signaling, and has the constitution been misinterpreted and oftentimes subverted by certain sections of society at the cost of another section of society? And some of the DNA alterations that have happened in the past, do they limit our progress and our march into the future? Tosi, if you're on mute.
Anand, happy
Yeah.
Constitution
Go
Day.
ahead,
It is such a great messaging that on the Constitution Day, the Supreme Court has dismissed this petition, which was filed by various parties, including Mr. Jain, who is on the panel today. The petition was dismissed as being illegitimate and frivolous, because time and again the courts in India have settled this proposition why the term secular was included in the preamble. Now the argument you will generally hear that this was included in the constitution, which is in fact incorrect, because the principles of secularism was already enshrined in the Article 14, 15 and 16 of the constitution, which courts have time and again in their judgments reminded us. And on this day, we observe Constitution Day so that we can instill the constitutional values among the citizens. And today you're having this debate It is such a great move, and I really welcome you, so that we are again reminded that there is no scope for any section of the society to try and backed by any political party to serve their political agenda, to try and change the constitution, which was not originally thought of. The idea of secularism, as Tessin was saying, in those days was that of an atheist, one who opposes the religion. In a very layman term, an atheist meant secular. What did secular meant then? One who opposes the idea of secularism. However, in India, courts have interpreted time and again that the secularism here means that the state, the government, neither supports any religion nor penalizes the profession and practice of any faith. And this is the principle which is enshrined in Article 14, Article 15 and Article 16 of the Constitution. So anyone who says that the term secular was added through the 42nd Amendment by certain party or in an emergency situation, this was something new, that is wrong. It was not new, it was already there in the Constitution. Courts have only added the term in the preamble.
Okay, now
but the principles were already there. If you look at the judgments, even before 42nd Amendment, they were in line with this.
The larger argument, and that's where it is. Both you and Tehseen have talked about the why. The question that was challenged was the how it was done. There was no debate in Parliament. Democracy, basic civil rights were suspended, and that was what was admitted by the Standing Council, as Vishnu Jain said. And how it was done is wrong. And the other aspect is when you say that you are socialist for always. When you define your DNA, if I were to say Tausif has always got to wear a dhoti, that means I am limiting your thought process. Now, the economic outlook of a nation has to change or evolve as the nation grows. So the argument has also been that there was no argument on why the word socialist has to be implemented into the preamble and how it was done. So the why was not debated, nor was the how, the proper process followed. When a nation's rights are suspended, the common civil rights, Tehseen talked about we the people, when the people's rights itself were suspended, how can you change the DNA of the constitution, of the preamble itself, which is the DNA of our constitution? So that's the question, that's the how. One minute.
I will
One minute. Let me just go back to Vishnu.
Just 10 seconds.
Okay, go ahead.
Just 10 seconds. One way of bringing a law is through ordinance, and which we practice even now. When we bring a law through an ordinance, it is not.
No. It is at a time. It is at a time when democracy was in jail, sir. Democracy was in jail. Basic rights were suspended, and what was done is wrong. But Vishnu Jain, the larger accusation, Vishnu Jain, is that along with the virtue signaling charge on the courts, you are also being accused of rabble rousing. Why push these petitions? What's the need to do it? How would you respond to that?
No, not at all. There is no. I have just made a tweet, and these are my views. My views are that I am not going to sell, and it is my right not to agree with the judgment of the Supreme Court. It is not just a right of Mr. Owaisi or for one section of the society. If they have a right to disagree with the Supreme Court, I also have the right to disagree with the Supreme Court. So if they are doing it, it is for attention. Then whatever I am doing, it is also for attention. And what kind of logic is this? See, the point is that there is complete dichotomy and fault in the Constitution, which I have highlighted. And the second point is that there is dichotomy in the implementation of the Constitution. For example, when the issue of hate speech arises in the Supreme Court, I had pointed out so many instances where hate speech, Gustakhe Rasool ki ek hi saja sar tan se juda. Why the Supreme Court did not take cognizance? Why did Justice Joseph did not hear this matter, despite the fact that the other coordinate member of the bench wanted to hear this matter? Why there was no comment on this thing that yes, this sentence is a hate speech? When Supreme Court was turned into a magisterial court, and if there is any hate speech, you have to go to a police station and register an FIR. But a section of the society came to the Supreme Court and said that, see, there are so many hate speeches being raised by one section of the society. And when we pointed out that these are the instances of hate speech against the members of the Hindu community, it was not addressed. They said that you file instances of latest vintage. That also we filed. We were not heard. When violence happened in West Bengal, we were not heard. Petition was dismissed at the threshold. So there is no rabble rousing. The point is that if someone is going, and I want to ask a question, that when Shri Krishna Janmabhoomi case, there was a survey which was ordered by the Honorable Allahabad High Court. It was stayed by the Supreme. Then there was no hue and cry by this lobby. When on Shivling Bazu was happening, that survey was ordered by the Allahabad High Court on 12th of May. It was stayed by Justice Chandrachud on 19th of May. Then there was no difficulty. So the point is, and when there is survey which is ordered in Sambhal, then there is lot of difficulty. So the point is that why we are not getting real justice? Why the principles of the constitution and the original thought of the framers of the constitution are not being implemented? This constitution is a living document. It's a transformative constitution. Why the aspirations of the people of this country are not being addressed? And why are we being labeled as right wingers and various you can say fringe elements, and then our voices are curbed? Why it is so happening? When someone is saying something with logic, reason, reference, why are you not hearing us? Is there any difficulty in our logic, reason, or is there any problem with our references? Then you can point it out that Mr. Jain, you are wrong. This is not what Dr. Ambedkar has said. We can have a debate, but the point is to nip all these things in the bud, to crush everyone when the voices are being raised is against the basic features of the constitution. If one party has free speech right, other party also has right to free speech. Why the Supreme Court did not say that Gustakhe Rasool ki ek hi saza sar tan se juda is a hate speech? Why? I ask a question. Is it only for hate speech? Is only for the members of Hindu community? When West Bengal was being burned, when West Bengal was being burnt in Ram Navami violence, why no action? Why no SIT was appointed? And instances every day in the night, Anand sir, I write instances where the constitution principles have not been implemented by the Honorable Supreme Court, and one day I will release it. That when we go to the, I must tell you that in 2018 I had moved the petition before the Supreme Court that Waqf Act is unconstitutional, and it was dismissed at the threshold. 6 years took passed by. We went to the High Court. 120 petitions were filed. We are running in the High Court. The legislature, the parliamentarians listened to us. They brought this Waqf Amendment Bill. Now I want to ask a question. When, suppose for example, this Waqf Amendment Bill is passed by the Parliament,
Right.
there will be a section of society, a lobby, which will file a petition in the Supreme Court. What do you think? Supreme Court will tell them the same thing, that go to the High Court. They will immediately hear it and they will put it up for hearing. Article 370 was repealed. But Article 370 was heard by a constitution bench of the Supreme Court. Don't you think that we should have been given hearing when such an important constitutional question had arisen about socialist and secular?
So the spirit of the constitution is not upheld all around, and Vishnu Jain, we just lost him there temporarily, has raised this aspect that there are many instances where there is no balance. The interpretation of the constitution should be the same, and the provisions of the constitution apply to all citizens of the country equally. Tehseen Poonawalla and then Pradeep Bhandari. Yeah.
First of all, I completely empathize with Vishnu Jain Bhai. He's not here. And once again, I put my firm stand out that what happened in Sambhal, the attacks on him are unacceptable. It's simply not right. While I oppose what happened, it's simply not right, the attacks. Number two, I really wish today on Constitutional Day, because my friend Ishkaran and Tausif are here, Tausif joined me in wishing that we had a strong Prime Minister who would do the reforms Vishnu Jain ji wants. The judicial reforms haven't happened. Everything that Vishnu Jain spoken about, I agree. Everything, let's except for a bad. Everything is wrong. Mamta ji is bad, Rahul is bad, Priyanka ji is bad, Kharge ji is bad, Akhilesh Yadav ji. Prime Minister kaun hai, judicial reforms kaun karenge? Let's accept. Or we have the weakest Prime Minister in the history of the country after two majorities, so he can't do judicial reforms. So let's accept it. Now, if that is the case, the day Mamta ji or Rahul ji or Akhilesh ji becomes Prime Minister, wo ho jayega reforms, don't worry about it. But let's come to a larger and more actually pertaining issue that I want to wish. The hate speech judgment is actually in my name, and with the mob lynching, what amounts to hate speech. And I do stand by the thing. Sir Tan Se Juda is hate speech, and I've repeatedly said anyone chanting this should be arrested under terror charges. Why is the government not doing it? I'll tell you why. Because both sides want to polarize. If one side want to say one thing and give justification for one slogan under the garb that this is for Bangladesh or something else, the other side will do it for the other.
Here, Tehseen, I've got limited time, so I'm just interrupting you there. The issue is not about which side is trying to polarize. The issue is that the interpretation of the Constitution cannot be via the prism of virtue signaling or via coloured lens. It has to be
that's
equanimous.
the
It has to be. His Vishnu Jain's point was the same, that whether my petition is right or wrong is not the point. If you can listen to a 370 hearing, or if you can open the courts on a weekend or at 5 a.m. in the morning for a matter which believes merits urgent hearing, whereas for other issues you say go to the High Court, go to the lower court, then that means that there is no parity, and especially an issue that matters to our constitution should have been heard by a constitution bench, and they merited the hearing, is his point of view. Pradeep Bhandari. So I'm just going to wind up, come to the closing aspects of this, saying that in this current scenario, there is one aspect of Samvidhan badal denge. The other aspect is the constitution in danger as being portrayed by the opposition, or is the constitution safe as is being claimed by the government? Yes, Pradeep Bhandari.
Well, Anand ji, for 70 years, the Congress party could not even celebrate 26 November as Constitution Day. It took Prime Minister Narendra Modi to remind this country, in particular the opposition, that we have to celebrate 26 November as the Constitution Day. This tells you the commitment of the Congress party to the principles of Constitution. Tehseen was acting, words were larger than life. Will Congress party give a unanimous support to the Waqf Amendment Bill? Well, the Congress party does it, then we can definitely have the discussion on what Tehseen was speaking about. When we passed the CA Act, it was the Congress party's political opposition which tried to color a step which was in the interest of the Constitution of India, which the constitution makers discussed, and they get an entire political opposition and mobilization around it. So it is Tehseen and his party which needs to introspect. I'll also just 20 seconds, Anandji. He was speaking about secularism and socialism. Yes, we need to debate on socialism, but on secularism, what is the Congress party's version of secularism? Get majority of the Muslims under the OBC quota. That is what TMC does. What is the Congress party's version of secularism? We all remember what the Congress party has done by abusing Sanatam always. And what is the Congress party's version of secularism? Is only vote bank. Remember 1991 manifesto of the Congress party, where officially, and please ask your research team to check, and this I say with a lot of responsibility, I was checking it. In 1991, the Congress party even proposed to get Muslim reservation in armed forces. This is their version of secularism. This is what we have to protect. So the constitutional principles are in danger against the Congress party.
Tausif. And final word to Ishkaran. Yeah, Tausif.
Well, you see, this entire challenge of inclusion of 42nd Amendment and inclusion of the word socialism, socialist, and secular is superficial. It has the basis of this is either not understanding the provision clearly, wrongly interpreting what it means, and or it is supported by a hidden agenda of any political party which plays the Hindu-Muslim politics. It is as simple as that. There can be no other explanation of why people time and again keep challenging this provision when Supreme Court have time and again settled this proposition of law. There can be no other explanation to this.
Now, have they actually settled this, or have they deterred from actually settling this aspect and interpreting it in the true spirit? The other aspect is, does the Constitution need some critical amendments for us to walk in that path? That's important. Tehseen, you're saying something, you're on mute. I couldn't hear you.
Anand?
Yes, Ishkaran. Ishkaran, and then Tehseen, I'll come to you. Yes, Ishkaran.
Yes. Anand, Tehseen and Tausif said the constitution is already secular, so the preamble word has just been added. Now I ask you, do politicians do redundant stuff? Why was an amendment during emergency brought in to bring in secular? Because the constitution was already secular. So we have to think about that. Now I obviously believe Bharat is secular, so constitution is secular. But Indira Gandhi, like her or don't like her, was an excellent politician. This word secular was there, even though they both say it is redundant, because it was a whistle to certain segments of society where secularism meant we will do naked appeasement of your interests. That is why we have a long line of laws. Waqf Act. We have a uniform civil code which was envisaged, but a Hindu code bill comes in and Muslim personal law is left. We allowed triple talaq to flourish in this country. We overturned Shah Bano judgment. Right. So that is why the word secularism was brought in, to appease a vote bank. So please let us not pretend that Indira Gandhi did not know what she was doing, or Congress leadership did not know what they were doing. They were just putting in a redundant word. No, it was deliberate, it was mischievous, it was done for a political purpose, and it suited their political purpose. Only problem is now it is coming to hit them in the face, because you can fool some of the people all of the time, all of the people some of the time, but not all the people all the time. That is why they are are getting the results they are getting in this nation now.
Right. Thank you, gents. Very engaging conversation here. Now, what will happen going forward? Will more people read? The Prime Minister urged everyone to read the original preamble, the original constitution, and also understand the evolution that it's gone through. Some right, some wrong, some interpreted rightly, wrongly, as many would argue. But this debate needs to happen so that we are more aware of what our actual constitution means, what that book contains, the thought process, the entire ethos, the Atma of Bharat. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we turn the spotlight towards Bangladesh, where Chinmoy Krishnadas Prabhu, an ISKCON monk, is facing a huge amount of persecution there. Hindu Messiah, is it quelling minority rights in Bangladesh, we ask. Stay with us.
और आगे की यात्रा की बेहतर योजना बनाने के अवसर प्रदान करते हैं। ऐसे समारोह हमारी एकता को मजबूत बताने की तथा ये दर्शाते हैं कि राष्ट्रीय लक्ष्यों को प्राप्त करने के प्रयासों में हम सब एक साथ हैं। हमारे स्वाधीनता संग्राम के दौरान अनेक महान विभूतियों ने हमारे राष्ट्रीय आदर्शों को रेखांकित किया था। हमारी संविधान सभा में हमारे देश की विविधता को अभिव्यक्ति मिली थी। संविधान सभा में सभी प्रांतों और क्षेत्र के प्रतिनिधियों की उपस्थिति से अखिल भारतीय चेतना को शोर मिला था। संविधान सभा के वाद विवाद तथा सदस्यों के संबोधनों में हमें संविधान निर्माण की प्रक्रिया के साथ साथ अपने देश के बारे में गहरी जानकारी प्राप्त होती है। आज जिन पुस्तकों का विमोचन किया गया तथा जो शॉर्ट फिल्म्स दिखाई गई, उनमें लोगों को हमारे संविधान निर्माण के गौरवशाली इतिहास का परिचय प्राप्त होगा। एक अर्थ में भारत का संविधान कुछ महानतम मेधावी लोगों द्वारा लगभग 3 वर्षों के विचार विमर्श का परिणाम था, लेकिन सही अर्थ में ये हमारे लंबे स्वाधीनता संग्राम का परिणाम था। उस अतुलनीय राष्ट्रीय आंदोलन के आदर्शों को संविधान में अत्यंत महत्वपूर्ण स्थान दिया गया। उन आदर्शों को सुस्पष्ट और संक्षिप्त रूप से संविधान की प्रस्तावना में व्यक्त किया गया है। ये आदर्श है न्याय, स्वतंत्रता, समता और बंधुता। ये आदर्श सदियों से भारत को परिभाषित करते हैं। संविधान की प्रस्तावना में उल्लिखित आदर्श एक दूसरे के पूरक है। समग्र रूप से ये सभी आदर्श ऐसा वातावरण उपलब्ध कराते हैं जिसमें हम नागरिक को फूलते फलते समाज में योगदान देने तथा साथी नागरिकों की मदद करने का अवसर मिलता है। माननीय संसदगण, संविधान की भावना के अनुसार कार्यपालिका, विधायिका और न्यायपालिका का ये दायित्व है कि वे सामान्य लोगों के जीवन को सुगम बनाने के लिए मिलजुल कर काम करें। संसद द्वारा पारित किए गए अनेक अधिनियमों से जौन आकांक्षाओं को अभिव्यक्ति मिली है। देश के आर्थिक एकीकरण के लिए स्वतंत्रता के बाद का सबसे बड़ा टैक्स सुधार गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज टैक्स को के रूप में किया गया है। वर्ष 2018 में राष्ट्रीय पिछड़ा बल्क आयोग को संवैधानिक दर्जा प्रदान किया गया है। वुमेन लेड डेवलपमेंट की सोच को यथार्थ रूप देना सामाजिक न्याय के संवैधानिक आदर्शों को प्राप्त करने के लिए अनिवार्य है। नारी शक्ति बंधन अधिनियम द्वारा हमारे लोकतंत्र में महिला सशक्तिकरण के एक नए युग की शुरुआत की गई है। दंड के स्थान पर न्याय तथा अपराध के स्थान पर सुरक्षा की भावना पर आधारित भारतीय न्याय संहिता, भारतीय नागरिक सुरक्षा संहिता और भारतीय साक्ष्य अधिनियम को पारित करके सांसदों ने आधुनिक सोच को अपनाने का प्रभावशाली परिचय दिया है। ऐसे अनेक अधिनियमों को पारित करने के लिए मैं सभी सांसदों की सराहना करती हूँ। पिछले कुछ वर्षों के दौरान सरकार ने समाज के सभी वर्गों, विशेषकर कमजोर वर्गों के लोगों के विकास के लिए अनेक कदम उठाए हैं। ऐसे निर्णयों से लोगों का जीवन बेहतर हुआ है तथा उन्हें प्रगति के नए अवसर मिल रहे हैं। गरीब लोगों का अपना पक्का घर मिल रहा है, बिजली, पानी, सड़क की सुविधा मिल रही है, खाद्य सुरक्षा और चिकित्सा सेवाएं मिल रही है। देश में बड़े पैमाने पर विश्व स्तर का इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बनाया जा रहा है। समग्र और समावेशी विकास के ऐसे अनेक प्रयास हमारे संवैधानिक आदर्शों को आगे बढ़ाते हैं।
After months of deadly incidents of arson, looting, vandalism on Hindu homes and businesses by extremist leaders in Bangladesh, the Yunus-led government has imprisoned the voice of Hindus in Bangladesh, ISKCON leader Chinmoy Krishnadas Prabhu, and upheld the sedition case filed against him earlier this month, allegedly over his outspoken stance on minority rights in the country. His bail plea was denied twice and he has been sent to jail for 10 days. Chinmoy Krishnadas Prabhu, a monk who led multiple protests against atrocities against Hindus in Bangladesh, was arrested by the Dhaka police's detective branch on November 25th at the Dhaka airport. Violence broke out during peaceful protests staged demanding the release of the Hindu religious leader and International Society for Krishna Consciousness ISKCON monk Chinmoy Krishnadas Prabhu. Reports of violence came from Chattogram High Court, where protesters faced police action. Protesters sustained injuries when police hurled sound grenades and baton charged those demanding the monk's release. The MEA condemned the Bangladesh's government and the Institutions Act. In a statement released earlier in the day, the MEA stated that we have noted with deep concern the arrest and denial of bail to Sri Chinmoy Krishnadas, who is also the spokesperson of the Bangladesh Sammilit Sanatan Jagran Jyoth. This incident follows the multiple attacks on Hindus and other minorities by extremist elements in Bangladesh. There are several documented cases of arson and looting of minorities' homes and business establishments, as well as theft and vandalism and desecration of deities and temples. It is unfortunate that while the perpetrators of these incidents remain at large, charges should be pressed against a religious leader presenting legitimate demands through peaceful gatherings. We also note with concern the attacks on minorities protesting peacefully against the arrest of Sri Das. We urge the Bangladesh authorities to ensure the safety and security of Hindus and all minorities, including their right of freedom of peaceful assembly and expression. Spiritual leaders like Sadhguru and Sri Ravi Shankar have condemned the incident. It is disgraceful to see how a democratic nation is disintegrating to become theocratic and autocratic, said Sadhguru on X. It is a responsibility of every citizen to understand the value of having an open democracy. Persecution on the basis of religion or weakness of demographics is not the way of democratic nations, he wrote. Unfortunately, our neighborhood has slipped away from democratic principles. It should be the responsibility of every citizen of Bangladesh to build back a democratic nation where all citizens will have the needed rights and ability to fulfill their lives as per the requirements and beliefs, the post read. Sri Ravi Shankar has also said it is unbecoming of a prime minister of a neighboring country to arrest a spiritual leader. He is not taking weapons, he is not taking guns, he is caring for his people, he is just standing up for the rights and wants the government to hear the atrocities that are happening to the minorities there. Arresting religious priests is not going to do any good to them or to the people or to the country or even to the image of Bangladesh. We expect much more from Professor Muhammad Yunus, who has got the Nobel Peace Prize for bringing peace and security to the people, and that's why he's been put there as Prime Minister. We request the government of Bangladesh to please take care of their minorities and control the radical elements that ransacking your own country and its image.
बांग्लादेश के अल्पसंख्यकों के साथ जो अत्याचार हो रही है वो बहुत दर्दनाक है। धर्मगुरु का ये फर्ज बनता है, ये कर्तव्य है पीड़ित लोगों के साथ खड़े हो जाना। इस वक्त मानवाधिकार का जो हनन हो रहा है, इसके लिए जो खड़े हैं वो संत को कैद करना कहाँ का न्याय है? किसी भी दृष्टिकोण से सही नहीं है, क्योंकि वहाँ के लोगों के अधिकार के लिए वो खड़े हुए हैं। वो बंदूक लेके नहीं गए, किसी को मारा नहीं, कुछ नहीं। समुदाय जो भयग्रस्त है, पीड़ित है, उनको हिम्मत दे रहे हैं। ये तो हर धर्म गुरु का काम है। अधिकार के लिए जो खड़े हो रहे हैं उनको कैद करने से कोई भी समस्या हल नहीं हो सकती, बल्कि आग और भड़केगी।
And it's a CNN News 18 mega exclusive. Upset Jamaat and consolidation of Hindus under the ISKCON are perhaps the main reasons of arresting top ISKCON leader. Our Security Affairs Editor Manoj Kumar Gupta getting us these details, that this is what is the thought process, that the Jamaat wants to curb Hindu movement as soon as possible. The Jamaat feels Hindus uprising may give space to their rivals, political rivals, the Awami League, and legitimate polls are around the corner and they may be banned again. According to the top government sources, Unionist government and army want to work with Bharat, but the Jamaat pressure is not allowing them to take free decisions and also to try and curb this free run for radicals. Large number of funds and international support are available to ISKCON and also the Sangatans that are working together with Chinmoy Krishnadas Prabhu there. The inside track of the arrest from intel sources reveals that the Hindu uprising is seen in Bangladesh under Chinmoy Krishnadas Prabhu, especially after Sheikh Hasina. The large number of protests and rallies organized, all of this after every murder and attack on Hindus. That means that there is a slow, silent organization and organizing against the BNP and the Jamaat, and that's what is riling them up. After Hasina's departure, protests against the persecution have actually started under the leadership of Chinmoy Krishnadas Prabhu, who got all this entire Sammalit Samaj, Sanatan Samaj together. We've got Radha Raman Das ji with us. Radha Raman Das ji, namaste. Thank you for your time. There has been a lot of ruckus also. We're given to understand a lawyer has been murdered at that court. Things are only turning from bad to worse.
Yeah, situation is very dire. Whenever I'm getting call from Bangladesh, there is one bad news after one bad news. Just I was speaking, and after this lawyer was killed, now some Muslim mobs are going and targeting Hindu places of worship. So things like this is very concerning. There is no end of all. Like, we are not seeing an end to all this. For 100 days we are seeing this unabated attack on Hindus, their properties, and what government is doing, that is very baffling. Today, Ministry of External Affairs, they have issued a statement in support of Chinmoy Krishnadas, and we hope that the Nobel Prize winner, interim government, interim Prime Minister of Bangladesh, interim caretaker government, they should act immediately and stop all this. For last 35
Twice
hours,
he's been denied bail, Radha Ramanji, and also on the charge of sedition. Is that a valid charge on Chinmoy Krishnadas Prabhu? Is this about what happened in Rangpur or what happened in Chattogram?
this sedition case was filed, if you remember, in Raleigh. Somebody raised one flag which was higher than the Bangladeshi flag. But you have seen that how all these Hindus, they respect and love the Bangladeshi flag. So that is completely false charge. And initially they were telling that this was ISKCON flag. Actually, ISKCON, we don't have any flag. So these are all false cases filed to scuttle the voices of people like Chinmoy Krishnadas. The sedition charge was filed against 18 people who are the face of this protest.
Right.
And we saw that how he was picked from airport, and he was picked by plainclothes policeman, and just when he was getting picked, then the devotee was accompanying him. He sent me a voice message and said that Prabhu, we don't know, so few people that taking him like this. Initially he thought that he is being kidnapped by some terrorist group, but later they found out they were police personnel in civil dress from detective department. So things like this is very shocking.
Right. Let's just hope and pray that things turn for the better and the situation improves there in Bangladesh. Radha Raman Das ji, thank you very much for your time and for speaking with us. We're going to take a very short break. When we come back, it's back in Bharat, in Uttar Pradesh, Sambhal. Some startling details revealed in the police FIRs. Stay with us.
और आगे की यात्रा की बेहतर योजना बनाने के अवसर प्रदान करते हैं। ऐसे समारोह हमारी एकता को मजबूत बताने की तथा ये दर्शाते हैं कि राष्ट्रीय लक्ष्यों को प्राप्त करने के प्रयासों में हम सब एक साथ हैं। हमारे स्वाधीनता संग्राम के दौरान अनेक महान विभूतियों ने हमारे राष्ट्रीय आदर्शों को रेखांकित किया था। हमारी संविधान सभा में हमारे देश की विविधता को अभिव्यक्ति मिली थी। संविधान सभा में सभी प्रांतों और क्षेत्र के प्रतिनिधियों की उपस्थिति से अखिल भारतीय चेतना को शोर मिला था। संविधान सभा के वाद विवाद तथा सदस्यों के संबोधनों में हमें संविधान निर्माण की प्रक्रिया के साथ साथ अपने देश के बारे में गहरी जानकारी प्राप्त होती है। आज जिन पुस्तकों का विमोचन किया गया तथा जो शॉर्ट फिल्म्स दिखाई गई, उनमें लोगों को हमारे संविधान निर्माण के गौरवशाली इतिहास का परिचय प्राप्त होगा। एक अर्थ में भारत का संविधान कुछ महानतम मेधावी लोगों द्वारा लगभग 3 वर्षों के विचार विमर्श का परिणाम था, लेकिन सही अर्थ में ये हमारे लंबे स्वाधीनता संग्राम का परिणाम था। उस अतुलनीय राष्ट्रीय आंदोलन के आदर्शों को संविधान में अत्यंत महत्वपूर्ण स्थान दिया गया। उन आदर्शों को सुस्पष्ट और संक्षिप्त रूप से संविधान की प्रस्तावना में व्यक्त किया गया है। ये आदर्श है न्याय, स्वतंत्रता, समता और बंधुता। ये आदर्श सदियों से भारत को परिभाषित करते हैं। संविधान की प्रस्तावना में उल्लिखित आदर्श एक दूसरे के पूरक है। समग्र रूप से ये सभी आदर्श ऐसा वातावरण उपलब्ध कराते हैं जिसमें हम नागरिक को फूलते फलते समाज में योगदान देने तथा साथी नागरिकों की मदद करने का अवसर मिलता है। माननीय संसदगण, संविधान की भावना के अनुसार कार्यपालिका, विधायिका और न्यायपालिका का ये दायित्व है कि वे सामान्य लोगों के जीवन को सुगम बनाने के लिए मिलजुल कर काम करें। संसद द्वारा पारित किए गए अनेक अधिनियमों से जौन आकांक्षाओं को अभिव्यक्ति मिली है। देश के आर्थिक एकीकरण के लिए स्वतंत्रता के बाद का सबसे बड़ा टैक्स सुधार गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज टैक्स को के रूप में किया गया है। वर्ष 2018 में राष्ट्रीय पिछड़ा बल आयोग को संवैधानिक दर्जा प्रदान किया गया है। वुमेन लेड डेवलपमेंट की सोच को यथार्थ रूप देना सामाजिक न्याय के संवैधानिक आदर्शों को प्राप्त करने के लिए अनिवार्य है। नारी शक्ति बंधन अधिनियम द्वारा हमारे लोकतंत्र में महिला सशक्तिकरण के एक नए युग की शुरुआत की गई है। दंड के स्थान पर न्याय तथा अपराध के स्थान पर सुरक्षा की भावना पर आधारित भारतीय न्याय संहिता, भारतीय नागरिक सुरक्षा संहिता और भारतीय साक्ष्य अधिनियम को पारित करके सांसदों ने आधुनिक सोच को अपनाने का प्रभावशाली परिचय दिया है। ऐसे अनेक अधिनियमों को पारित करने के लिए मैं सभी सांसदों की सराहना करती हूँ। पिछले कुछ वर्षों के दौरान सरकार ने समाज के सभी वर्गों, विशेषकर कमजोर वर्गों के लोगों के विकास के लिए अनेक कदम उठाए हैं। ऐसे निर्णयों से लोगों का जीवन बेहतर हुआ है तथा उन्हें प्रगति के नए अवसर मिल रहे हैं। गरीब लोगों का अपना पक्का घर मिल रहा है, बिजली, पानी, सड़क की सुविधा मिल रही है, खाद्य सुरक्षा और चिकित्सा सेवाएं मिल रही है। देश में बड़े पैमाने पर विश्व स्तर का इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बनाया जा रहा है। समग्र और समावेशी विकास के ऐसे अनेक प्रयास हमारे संवैधानिक आदर्शों को आगे बढ़ाते हैं। इस प्रयासों के लिए मैं सरकार की सराहना करती हूँ। उच्चतम न्यायालय के प्रयासों से देश की न्यायपालिका हमारे न्याय प्रणाली को और अधिक प्रभावी बनाने के लिए अनेक प्रयास कर रही है। न्यायपालिका विचाराधीन कैदियों को और जेल सुधार के विषयों पर भी कार्यरत है। हमारे देश में मूलभूत ने और आगे की यात्रा की बेहतर योजना बनाने के अवसर प्रदान करते हैं। ऐसे समारोह हमारी एकता को मजबूत बताने की तथा ये दर्शाते हैं कि राष्ट्रीय लक्ष्यों को प्राप्त करने के प्रयासों में हम सब एक साथ हैं। हमारे स्वाधीनता संग्राम के दौरान अनेक महान विभूतियों ने हमारे राष्ट्रीय आदर्शों को रेखांकित किया था। हमारी संविधान सभा में हमारे देश की विविधता को अभिव्यक्ति मिली थी।
Back live, and the latest from Sambhal reveals that it was a deliberately hatched conspiracy by the local netas belonging to the Samajwadi Party. The MP and the Vidhayak there have been named as accused number 1 and 2 in the FIRs. Anila Singh, spokesperson of the UP BJP with us. Tariq Khan, spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party with us. Tariq Khan, how do you want to respond to this charge that this was under the instigation, design and also execution of the local Samajwadi Party MP and the Vidhayak?
It's just said in the FIR by the police, but our claim is something else, that when Vishnu Jain entered that place, he is along with lots of mob. This is a video of the morning, they are chanting slogan. Oh, it's also written, I just want to ask, it's also written in that survey order that go along with 100,000 of peoples with chanting slogans. It's written in that. So I am not able to read in that. Let me respond.
Sir, there is a factual error there, because that video that you're claiming.
That could be your.
One minute. It's been time-stamped. 1 minute, Tariq sir. It's been time-stamped and confirmed that this is not him entering the mosque. It is him exiting after the survey at 11 a.m.
It's a new video.
It is 11 a.m. It is at 11 a.m. sir, and this has been cut. It has been 1 minute. It has been reconfirmed by the lawyer of the Muslim Paksh who was with him all through the day.
Why you have called me if you don't want to
Don't peddle untruth, sir. I'm just requesting you not to peddle untruth.
Right. That's my right. You have all.
Your right is not to peddle untruth. Your right is to actually represent the facts.
It's another video of the morning when he's entering that place. I have talked to the person who were present there. They said that there was thousands of people chanting slogan. So FIR must be there against Vishnu Shankar Jain. That was it there in that survey order that go along with thousands of people, and inside that
in the survey order it said that the local administration, the SP, the Muslim Paksh lawyer, the Maulvi of the mosque, and the Hindu Paksh or the petitioner, Vadi Prativadi, these are the only 5 entities who should be there. What was your MP doing inside there? Why did he go there? He was not supposed to be there.
You have already
He was not supposed to be there on the 19th. Why was he there on the 19th?
Police
Why was he there? Okay, Anila Singh. So who are those supporters? Those supporters who with stones and all of that were Hindus. They were Vishnu Jain supporters, or were they SP supporters? Who are those people? These are visuals of him being taken out. It's at 11 a.m. in the morning, not at 7:30 a.m. These pictures. Yes, go ahead, please.
My Ram to all, and first of all, if some people, they were doing the Jaikara of Bhagwan Sri Ram, what is wrong in that? Since when Bhagwan Sri Ram has become the synonym of Danga and taking Panga? So the people here in Sambhal incident, they were the workers of Samajwadi Party. And today, the truth has revealed that the workers were from Member of Parliament and MLA as well, and they both have got some different issues and different ego clashes, and they started attacking on each other, and now they are blaming Yogi's police, Yogi's administration. And I can see very well Mr. Tariq Khan sitting here, jhoota gussa magarmache aansu. This is what Samajwadi Party is doing. So Tariq Khan, stop laughing, because 4 young lives have been lost. 4 young lives have been lost because of your politics. And you're sitting here and laughing. I am not, because I'm talking about the law and order situation of my state.
My point is, if these were two,
And
1
you
minute,
are
Anila Singh,
here,
if these were two groups of the MP and the MLA, the Turk and the Pathan, that was the sectarian fight. Why were they hurling stones at the masjid? Why is there in the FIR of the cops that there were people saying survey nahi hone denge? Why have the cops tried to say that somebody tried to snatch the service revolver of the officer in charge? If this was a sectarian fight
This
between
was
two
all
groups,
premeditated,
Anila Singh.
and it was directed by Samajwadi Party's leaders. And in that they said, okay, you attack these people, you attack police, you pelt stone, you get small kids, you get women to pelt stone on police administration people. What you do is you surround masjid and you start accusing few of the Hindus present there. When this survey team was coming out, when they started saying some of the so-called Jaikara, according to them, slogans of our Ishta Devatas, they said, okay, now see, this is a problem with this majority population living in Bharat, that you keep on targeting masjids. Okay, why don't you leave it on court? The survey was being conducted on the orders of the court. Let the court decide. But it is the right of any person, any citizen in our nation, today is
Right.
Constitution Day as well, that he or she can
Well,
go
the
to
cops
the court.
have named the Samajwadi Party MP and the local MLA of the Samajwadi Party. They are accused number 1 and 2, but so far there has been no move to arrest them or to question them and ask them. They are still reviewing all the footage. Anila Singh, Tariq Khan, thank you very, very much. Have got to wind up this edition of The Right Stand on that note. Zakir Jacob ready with brass tacks.
Good evening. There is a full-blown war of words between the government and the opposition over the Samvidhan, or the Constitution of India. On this day, 75 years ago, India formally adopted the Constitution upon which our Federal Republic was founded. Over the years, the Constitution has saved us from war and tyranny, injustice and the like. But now in this politically charged battle, the narrative of Samvidhan khatre mein hai, or the Constitution is under threat, which was a very popular refrain used by the opposition in the Lok Sabha campaign,